84% of retirees die with more money than when they retired. And so I wanted to show you the math that nobody is talking about that leads to why this is happening. But first, let's break down what the average retiree looks like today. So while $1 million is a clean number, the median retirement balance is actually $410,000. And the average retiree spends $55,000 per year or $4,600 per month. But again, this is across all retirees. So if we look across all households in the country, the amount that people are spending is $73,000 per year. But if we just focus on 65 to 74, this drops to $60,800 per year. And if we just focus on people over the age of 75, this actually drops to $53,000. This shows that as you age, your spending does decline. But let's look at a couple examples. Let's say that we have a retired couple and they're both collecting the average Social Security, which is $24,000 per year. So they already have $48,000 per year coming in. Remember, the average spend for someone 65 to 74 is about $61,000. That means that this Social Security gap leaves a retirement savings gap that they need to fill of $12,800. Now, assuming that they're drawing this down by 5% per year, this couple would need $256,000 in their retirement savings. Not $1 million, not $500,000, about $250,000. Let's focus on another example of just a single retiree though. Now, even though spending probably does come down a little bit, the big things like housing, utilities, etc., those aren't going to change, and so we'll hold tight at $61,000. And again, we'll assume that they get $24,000 in Social Security. That leaves a $37,000 gap that they need to fill with their retirement savings. At a 5% drawdown, that means that they would need $736,000. This is still well below that $1 million. But you might think, well, I don't want to live off of the average. I want to spend more than that. Okay, so let's say that in example 3, we have a couple and they spend 30% more than the average person. Well, now they're spending $80,000 and they're still getting average Social Security. Well, that would mean that they have a $32,000 gap that they need to cover, which means that they would need $640,000 saved during retirement. So again, you still don't need $1 million. And I think the main reason that people think they need more is because of something called the 4% rule. This is just a common retirement metric that financial advisors use. But the person that actually founded this came out and said that he was wrong and that it should be closer to 4.7%. And what they found is that people that were using this rule, well, they actually 5x their retirement savings by the time that they passed away. And the reason why this happens is because on average, the stock market goes up 10 to 11% year over year. And so if we factor inflation, that's still 7 to 8%, obviously a lot greater than the 4% rule. Plus, most retirees' portfolio is a mixture of stocks, bonds, and cash. When the market goes down, they actually draw down less of their stocks, which means that they're not impacted by the drops that happen in the market because they're not selling in a downturn. So we can agree that the 4% rule is a little bit conservative. The crazy part is that in practice, what we see on average is that retirees are drawing down by 2% according to JP Morgan. And on top of that, what we've actually seen is that Social Security covers 90% of the income that retirees live off, which might sound alarming, but imagine that you have a couple who's getting $3,000 a month each in Social Security. That's $72,000 per year. And so if this $72,000 is 90% of their income, well, then they're living off of $80,000 per year total. And remember, this is minimal taxes, and so this is basically the same as you making a $100,000 salary when you're working. In my opinion, this is the best way to calculate your retirement number. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're just gonna calculate your expenses on a monthly and annual basis. So let's say that you spend $72,000 a year. Then you're gonna tally up your income sources. That's gonna include Social Security, any rental income, your pension, even part-time work should be included in this. And once you subtract that from your expenses, you're gonna have your retirement gap. This is the amount that your nest egg actually has to cover, and let's say that it's $20,000 a year. So now all you have to do to figure out what your number is multiply this by 20, because that's going to be based off of a 5% withdrawal rate. And so if you did this, what you'd find is that you need $400,000. That would be your retirement number. And I'm not saying, hey, don't save more than $400,000. All that I'm saying is that you should base your retirement number on your expenses, on your lifestyle, not some financial benchmark that some blog article put out.